Okay, let's soon start with a disclaimer. I'm not saying, I don't want to say that Russian men are sexually frustrated, okay? Hey people, FlyingSoul still alive from Novosibirsk. This is a new topic that I think we should start to talk about. And that's because in the year 2020, as we are now, this situation in Russia, like in any other country, is changing extremely fast. As I told you guys in many of my previous videos, I told you that globalization is just taking over everywhere. And Russia, of course, is not an exception. Now, Russia, for the first time in the history of this country, is experiencing man's sexual frustration. This is not just a feeling that I have or the experience that comes from my life here in Siberia and in general in Russia, but there are some logical reasons for it. And I want to get through it in order for you to understand why. So, first of all, Russia nowadays is quite a wealthy country, let's say, which means that a lot of people, indeed men, start to have a healthy lifestyle. Okay, there are less war than before, they are fighting less war than before, which means that less people are dying, less men are dying. And this situation generated a higher number of wealthy men, let's say healthy, not necessarily wealthy, but a bigger number of healthy men and attractive also young men who create, of course, a bigger competition among them. So, Russian women are still beautiful, are still a lot, but their threshold of choice was raised up higher, a lot higher, than has never been before. So they have a lot more choices than they used to have. So just to tell you an example, if 15 years ago, a 30-year-old woman here in Russia was considered old, and when I say old, I really mean it, because no one of the few, let's say, young, healthy men would ever choose a 30-year-old woman. Now, even 50-year-old Russian women can choose. That's because the situation changed a lot. And they become a lot more fussy. It's just logical. Everybody wants the best for themselves. And as much as you can get, you just ask for it, which is absolutely normal. So, another thing that increased recently is the jealousy. Because, okay, let's say that jealousy in Russia has always been present, even before. But during 90s, for example, it was just a sort of like, okay, you know, dude, this is my girl, you know, so you can just go there and do something with her. But it was just more like expressing, you know, the fact that you have to do that, but they really didn't care about that, which lead, like, for example, that just the perception of the female world in Russia was like more like objects. I'm telling you, it's not just my perception or my idea, I've been told also. And it was quite logic during the 90s. But nowadays, it's no more like this. Finding a girl for a Russian man is becoming harder. Hard, really hard. So for the first time in their history, some men are experiencing sexual frustration. They can't find any girl at all because that it's too difficult now for them. Now, this situation, of course, is changing, and it's changing extremely fast. But if we look at the rest of the world, still Russia is the country is considered like the last place for men to go to get a beautiful woman, and which is unfortunately true. I mean, even if the situation isn't that bad here, it's still better than any other countries. And we are experiencing a lot of like foreign people from any part of the world who's trying to get a Russian woman, which of course logically create a vicious spiral that increase even more their self-confidence and their, let's say, fussiness. So they became even more fussy. You can just normally see it if you just open any account of any Russian girl on Instagram. You see how many followers they have. And this is logical. They just have this kind of perception to be so important that they can choose. And that's what happened. So for the local man here in Russia, it's becoming really, really hard. And that's creates the sexual frustration I was talking before. Now the jealousy increased a lot more. So if before was just a sort of like, some words, now it can really create fights. So you have to pay attention to it, because men start to be extremely protective towards their women. That's absolutely logical. But for most of the foreigners who come here just for a short period, or they start to live here now, it could be quite hard if the reason for you to come are women. That's all for now. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, leave comments if you want, and see you for the next one. Bye bye.